Welcome back. My name is Teresa and I'm very much alive. Hi, how are you? Welcome to the Pleasure Dome. I have an awful garbage filthy mouth where sometimes, just sometimes, I tend to use the word fuck as a comma or say things like Pleasure Dome. If you're not into that or weird stuff in general, this is definitely not... What is this? This is definitely
not the place for you.
Feel free to X out the video here. No harm, no foul. But I'll remember our Tom fondly. Hello, my little weirdos. In today's video, I am reviewing two different products. The first one being the KBD Good Apple Foundation Balm that has been like everywhere. And listen, I don't know, things happen and I got the Huda Beauty. I get the Huda Beauty Toffee Brown Obsessions palette. I have some thoughts on these products, but let me tell you a little bit about them first.
KBD Good Apple Skin Perfecting Foundation Balm. A buildable full coverage, hydrating foundation balm with a lightweight, long wear formula and a fresh matte finish in fully recyclable packaging. Infused with skin nourishing apple extract, this non-comedogenic foundation balm minimizes the appearance of pores and gives skin a smooth, healthy look. The non-cakey flashback free formula quickly covers blemishes and discolorization for a speedy confidence boost. Good to your skin and the planet, this product comes in an innovative compact that's fully recyclable with no mirror, magnets, or metal.
So this foundation balm retails for $38 and it comes in 40 different shades. It's described as a hydrating yet matte foundation. Very dramatic. That it's vegan and long wearing. A lot of people were kind of talking shit about the packaging. You know, it doesn't really bother me that much. It kind of does feel a little cheap, especially for the price point. I kind of wish it was a little bit more sturdy. But the fact that it is recyclable, that's good. It's helping the planet. We all need to protect Mother Earth. So whatever, I'll shut the fuck up about it. In any case, this is what she looks like. Yeah, I hit pan on that. We'll talk about that. When this first came out, I didn't even think about it. I figured, meh, it's another matte foundation. I have dry skin. I don't fuck with matte foundations. And the company recently rebranded, or some say, what rebrand? So again, this particular product was just not on my radar. Then I fell down a TikTok hole. I'm not even trying to be funny when I say that TikTok has been an absolute delight, especially when I'm dealing with my mind-bending anxiety these days. When I need to distract myself, I watch TikTok. No, I don't do any TikToks. I'm purely a voyeur. Okay, I could have said that less creepy. Don't even ask me what I do when I'm watching TikTok. Jesus Christ, Teresa, shut the fuck up. Okay, moving on. Anyway, so I came across several TikToks of people shitting their pants about this foundation. And I'm not gonna lie, I couldn't stop thinking about it. It's all I fucking did. I just kept thinking about, what if I'm missing out on the most amazing foundation in the world? So I drove around to a bunch of Long Island and Queens Sephora's and Ulta's, could not find this shit anywhere. It wasn't until one day I went onto Sephora and there happened to be one shade left and that was light 12, which in theory, it looks okay on camera, but I think I probably could have gotten a lighter shade. Anyway, listen, I'm just gonna cut to the chase. This is worth the fucking hype. I don't lie to you, okay? Tiffany, I hear you scoffing. I don't lie to you. And when I say I like something, I fucking like something. I stand by it. And this, I fucking love. It's so fucking good. I can't describe it. Who is this bitch? I don't know who she is, okay? This bitch looks like she has it together and a good credit score. That's all I'm saying. Like I mentioned before, I have dry skin, so much so that sometimes I look like a mummy's dick, okay? It is what it is. So I typically stay away from matte foundations for that very reason. I don't need to look closer to death. This product's consistency is pretty much on par with any sort of cream blush, cream bronzer, cream contour product that you probably have in your collection. Initially, it feels like it's not going to be very smooth or balm-like, but as soon as you start to swirl your finger in the pan, it's so creamy. And even when swatching it in pan and putting it on your skin, it doesn't feel oily. Now, you can either apply this with a brush or a sponge. Usually, I'm not a huge fan of applying foundations with a brush because for whatever reason, it always just looks so much fucking drier on me. So that's why I tend to only use sponges. But for this one, I found that I got a nice even application when I used a brush. But then I still would go over it with a dampened sponge just to remove any little brush marks, which thankfully isn't a lot, but it's still there. The good thing about this foundation is that a little bit does go a long way. I probably went in with maybe 2 brush strokes to coat my whole fucking face. And then I used maybe a teensy bit more just to kind of fill in some areas over here where I need to have a little bit more coverage because I have a lot of redness on my cheeks. When I say it's full coverage, this shit is full coverage. And it's actually kind of surprising how much this will cover. So rest assured, you don't need to build up this product to ultimately make you look like Mrs. Doubtfire. A little bit is really all you ever need. This foundation melts into your skin like butter. It covered most of my imperfections. For example, my redness, I kind of had to go a little bit over with, and I do have a couple of little like skin blemishes. You know, I think it does a good job covering pimples, but I had this fucking third eye on top of my head because I accidentally scratched my skin off because I'm a genius and I have a little fucking just scab there. It doesn't cover that, but whatever. I wear it like a proud badge. It's basically my third eye. As for the wear time on this foundation, it's absolutely fucking incredible. I have 2 videos on my channel, maybe like not the last few videos I know have been boxes, but the 2 videos before that. I filmed both of those videos in the same day. I just changed my shirt because I'm a YouTuber. But anyway, I actually filmed those about 12 to 13 hours apart, and my face looked good in both of those videos. And the last one being a makeup bingo where I just lovingly get drunk and turn into a lobster. This foundation hid all my redness, and I love you for that. This product didn't settle into my fine lines. I didn't notice any sort of texture, and it didn't emphasize any of my pores. This shit is fucking sorcery. Now I figured this shit is too good to be true. So on a nice day when it was 60 degrees, Paul Giamatti and I decided to go take a drive. Actually, we have been hunting for vintage video games. And if you actually ever want to hear me talk more about that, me and Alex have been, I think he's gonna do it on his channel, but like we bought a shitload of, we're just buying a lot of our childhood back. I think this pandemic just really depressed us further. So we're just like, do you remember Sega Dreamcast? Let's buy that. So that's where we are in our lives. And you know what? It's been fun. Sonic Adventures keeps the darkness at bay. Anyway, so we were out and about. I did my makeup. We went to a few stores, and we also took a walk outside because it was a really beautiful day. And I'm happy to say that it didn't look too bad. Now, it doesn't hold up as well as, say, sitting in your house, not breaking a fucking sweat. But when you are lightly sweating, this foundation does a good job of staying in place. But I did notice a little bit of texture around my cheeks and my hairline. So the foundation was kind of breaking up just a scotch, but you have to get really close to my face to really notice it. When you're further back, it's not as noticeable. Now, I found that regardless if you do set this with powder or not, the foundation does transfer. Obviously, if you do not set it, it transfers a lot, but if you do set it, there is still some light transfer. So unfortunately, I wouldn't classify this as a mask-friendly foundation, not for me anyway. But also, I'm not one to load on a lot of fucking powder either, because I feel like when I do that, it just weighs my face down. But honestly though, I feel like the true test for me is when I do rejoin society and I have to start commuting again. I'm curious to see if this will hold up in a train car that has no air conditioning, or having someone stand this close to you in the face in the subway and them saying to you,
"Have you been to the moon lately?"
I miss the subway. So with that said, here are the bad things about this foundation. 1, I already hit fucking pan. What the fuck is that about? The fact that I hit pan makes me really fucking annoyed. I've had this product for less than a month. I think maybe 2 weeks at most. Like, how the fuck is that possible? The second thing that's annoying about this foundation is that if you have dry skin, you have to be careful using specific primers. Like I said earlier, I have very dry skin. So if you have dry skin, you need to pair this foundation with something incredibly fucking hydrating. My recent favorite primer has been from Ritual Defeat. This is the Elizabeth Bathory primer. No, I'm kidding. This is the Thorn Oil primer. It's so great. And if you are interested in seeing a review of it, I'll link it up in the corner. Anyway, if you don't use an incredibly hydrating primer or just really hydrating skincare before you put this on your face, when you apply it to the skin, the foundation starts to ball up and it looks like your skin is falling off. When this happened initially, I was like, great, this is how it is. This is how I'm gonna end. I'm not even on a toilet eating a sandwich.
Has the prophecy been wrong this whole time?
Now, when the foundation balls up into these little skin balls, it's so fucking disgusting. Probably one of the most disgusting things I have ever seen. And this is coming from someone who actually watched somebody take a shit on a subway platform. Like, I locked eyes and everything, okay? It was a moment. I found that this only happens when I use primers like Tatcha Silk Canvas, or the La Mer Perfecting Primer, or the Ofra Cool as a Cucumber Primer. It's like, if I just use those on their own, it just doesn't fucking mesh well with the foundation. Like, I really need a shitload of hydration for this to work. I find that when I use those primers in particular, this foundation will cling on to every dry patch known to man, whether I've known about them or I'm just discovering them for the first time. Honestly, I felt like the guy at the end of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. And for a while there, I really thought I chose poorly. So in summation, this foundation is fucking great. It's totally fucking great. And you know what? Even with hitting pan, and as much as that fucking irritates the shit out of me, personally, I can overlook it because I really like how this looks on my skin. I feel like my skin looks flawless. Kind of just based on that. I feel like it's like one of those products when you know, you know. And this is for me is one of those, I'm like, regardless of the price, regardless how fast I go through it, I like how it looks on my skin. And at the end of the day, I'm too old to have things that are in my collection. I want things that I know are gonna be fucking casket worthy, and bitch, this is casket worthy. I really hope they come out with a concealer version in this formula because it's gonna be fucking amazing. So fingers crossed that that happens. But if you happen to come across this, which I know it's sold out, the Sephora Rouge sale is gonna be happening soon. I doubt they're gonna have a restock of this, but if they do, I highly recommend checking it out during the sale because it's great. It's great. But again, this is really for those with dry skin. If you have oily skin, you know, I recommend obviously checking another reviewer because this may not be the best for you. Anyway, I'm in fucking love with this. So good.
Huda Beauty Brown Obsessions Eyeshadow Palette. Brown never looks so good. With divine swirls of toffee, caramel, and chocolate, Brown Obsessions features velvety smooth powders, intense metallics, buttery marble cream shimmers, and an irresistible new pearl flake texture. They'll take you from daytime soft and sweet to after dark rich and smoky.
So listen, it's been a while since I dipped my dick with Huda, okay? And when I pulled this during Makeup Bingo, I was like, you know what? I kind of want to try it. It's been a while since I picked up one of these palettes and I figured, you know, I really do love color stories that look like this. I'm just a sucker for them. And I really wanted to see if the formula got better. Or perhaps maybe my preferences have changed. If you're not familiar with my channel and this is the first time you're watching me, weird. I do have a couple of videos about Huda Beauty. Haven't really been particularly fond of the brand. I feel like every product that I do have from Huda Beauty, I have decluttered because I am just not about having shit in my collection that kind of sucks. Unless the packaging is fucking beautiful, okay? I'm looking at you, Gucci bronzer. I have a hard time giving that one up. Even though it smells like an old lady's vagina, I still think it's so pretty. Like an old lady's vagina, see? Full circle. Okay. So for this review, I only got one of the palettes because the other two palettes, I mean, they were pretty cute, not gonna lie. But I figured, you know what? Let's just dip a toe in. Let's dip a toe in. I don't want to dip my whole foot in because I have a feeling that this is going to be a huge mistake. For $29, you get 9 shadows. This is the standard Obsessions palette. So it pretty much looks exactly the same if you have palettes like this. You get a mirror, you get the eyeshadows, and here's the back of it. You'll notice that none of the shadows actually have names. So for this review, I'm just gonna be pointing to things. So the palette consists of 5 mattes, 1 shimmer, and 3 metallic shades. The 5 matte shades, they were interesting. The ones that performed fine were the 2 on the top row and the 1 in the middle. The 2 on the bottom, we'll get to that. But let's talk about the first 3. I found that these 3 shades overall had a nice pigmentation, but when applied with a brush, they were a little bit drier, so I noticed that I had to build them up a little bit more. Not the end of the world, but I needed to build them up to have a fuller opacity. I'm happy to say that the yellow shade was actually pretty good. Honestly, I assumed it was going to be shit because I feel like most yellow shades are shit, but this was actually nicely pigmented after 2 or 3 coats. It was a really beautiful mustard yellow color. I didn't find these 3 shades to be patchy, and I didn't notice any difficulty in blending. They had okay longevity, and I noticed that after a few hours, my eye looks just kind of looked dull. But overall, they weren't that bad compared to the other matte shadows in this palette. Now, the bottom shades were fucking weird. This dark brown in particular, while initially pigmented upon application, I had no issues blending the shadow. It didn't appear patchy or anything like that. The thing that bothered me about that particular shadow is that when I used it as like a lash line shade, whether I was going above the lash or underneath my lower lash line or the outer corner, my eye would tear up immediately. From there, I noticed a slight burning effect, kind of very similar to a spicy butthole effect, which is really interesting because I usually get that with shimmer shades, but there are specific shades from Natasha Denona, for example, as well as Huda Beauty that just makes my eyes incredibly irritated. That being said, the other thing that sucks about that particular shade is that once you get past the burning, it doesn't last very long. After 2 hours, there's noticeable fading within the shadow. The beige shade barely showed up. I was hoping to use this shade to soften the edges or highlight the inner corner, it doesn't either. This is a waste of a fucking shade. As someone who looks like uncooked chicken, the fact that it doesn't show up on me, good luck showing up on anyone else. Now let's move on to the shimmer and the metallic formula. I'm actually just gonna talk about them all as a whole because I can't really fucking tell the difference. First of all, I really do appreciate the cool little pan designs, but it's just so fucking annoying because as soon as you start to use it, any sort of embossing goes away. And then it just looks like a shade that hit hard pan. Funny story, all these shades actually did hit hard pan. I don't know if you could notice that, but all the shimmers already hit hard pan. Magic. How the fuck is that possible? I'll never know. I wanted so much more from these shadows. And no, it's not what I have on in my inner corner, by the way. So it's not what I have on my eyes. I actually have been playing with the new Lethal Cosmetics multi-chromes. This is Gateway. Still playing around with it, so a review on these will be in the future. That's the little sparkle I have in the inner corner of my eye. Nothing from this fucking palette. Unfortunately, all the shimmers are pretty fucking weak. You definitely need to either finger it or use a heavily saturated brush for these to show up. I did use glitter glue with the shadows, and while I didn't experience a lot of glitter bukkake, there was still some random sparkles that would just end up in my fucking eyebrows somehow. But once you did get it on, for the most part, it did stay in place. Makes sense because they barely showed up on my fucking eyes to begin with. I had to go in and in and in and in and in about 1,000 fucking times for this to have some sort of opacity. I will say, I think out of all of them, the one that had the more substantial opacity happened to be this gold shimmer one right here. That was probably the best out of the 4. If I had to give a prize to one of them, I guess it would be like, here you go, here's a blue ribbon. Doesn't mean anything. That being said, once you add about 1,000 layers of the product, I think overall they had a somewhat decent longevity. And I am happy to report that I didn't notice any falling glitter throughout the course of the day, only the glitter that got stuck in my eyebrows somehow. Listen, for $29, I think this is just incredibly underwhelming. While yes, I was able to create cute looks with the palette, I found that you can only do so much in regards to the varieties of looks that you can create. While yes, the colors complement each other, no doubt about that, the fact that this one doesn't even show up really makes this an 8-pan palette. And honestly, just based on the inconsistencies between the shadows and the possible slight irritation that you may or may not get if you have sensitive eyes like myself, and of course the shimmer's already hitting hard pan, no. I think for the price and what is currently on the market, this is just a big old no. And even with the Sephora sale coming up and the fact that you can get this potentially at cheaper price, this is disappointing. So please don't waste your time or money on this product. That being said, now I want to hear from y'all. Let me know down below if you were able to pick up the KVD foundation or if you were able to get one of these guys. Let me know because I'd love to hear from you. And with that said, I want to say thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate it as always. Feel free to like, comment, hit that subscribe button. It's free. And hit that bell icon for notification of all my future posts. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Patreon. To all my beautiful, wonderful patron bubbies, thank you so much for keeping this delicious, disgusting, filthy, trashy, yet glowy garbage boat afloat. I couldn't do it without you, and I love your adorable little delicious faces. I just want to gobble them all up like little Cadbury cream eggs. Sorry, I'm filming this on Easter. If you want to know what is currently on my face, along with where to get my podcast, my merch, and my bloopity blop blop, everything will be listed in the description box below. And I'll see you little pumpkins later. Bye.